20 years is a long time in the beer industry, in the restaurant industry. Thinking back to the beginning, I would have never dreamt in a million years that we would have a brewery like this.
My name is Natalie Cilurzo, and I'm the co-owner of Russian River Brewing Company.
And I'm Vinnie Cilurzo, co-owner, Russian River Brewing Company. In 1989, I was a home brewer, but I knew from the very first time I brewed at home that I wanted to do this commercially. 5 years later, I started a brewery in Southern California that was called Blind Pig Brewing Company. Little did I know then that it turned out to be a pretty historical moment. Turns out I brewed the first modern double IPA back in 1994. It was actually the first commercial beer I ever brewed.
We first started dating in 1990, so we've been together for quite a while, and Vinnie was a home brewer, and it was his 20th birthday was our first date. And I asked him on our first date what he wanted to do with his life, what he wanted to be, and he said, I want to own my own brewery. And I said, how do you know this? You're not even old enough to buy beer. I actually had to buy the beer on our first date because I'm older. And he said, I just do. Sure enough, within just a few years, actually it was 30 years ago this year, that Vinnie found an investor and a business partner and some defunct brewing equipment in Bisbee, Arizona. He was opening his first brewery at 23 years old during a really risky time to do something like that in craft beer. I would help out as much as I could at the brewery while studying and working and paying the bills. And we would go to Vinnie's parents' house every Sunday night for dinner because we didn't have any money. And Vinnie's mom would do catering at their winery, and we would take all the leftovers home, and that would feed us for the week. That's how kind of what our life was like for many years. It was really tough financially in those years, but I never doubted that he would be a very successful brewer just because the beers he was making were just so good.
When Natalie and I decided to move to Sonoma County, I was just wrapping up my part at Blind Pig, and one of our vendors had told me that Korbel Champagne Cellars, that they were going to open a brewery. So I sent them a letter and got in touch with them, and in the end, they ended up hiring me.
It was very important to me that I finished my degree, so I continued my career in wine and studies. I finally graduated from college in '98. I got a full-time job at Kendall Jackson Winery, but I still always helped Vinnie out with the brewery. I helped him out at beer festivals. He was growing hops out at Korbel, and so I would go out and help pick hops. I was always very supportive of Vinnie's passion for craft beer, which is rather infectious, and so his passion became my passion.
Really, the transition to Korbel was when I really grew as a professional brewer. The equipment at Blind Pig was functional, but it was definitely cobbled together. Going from that to a brand new all stainless steel copper brew house at Korbel was pretty amazing. I had seen equipment like this, but have never brewed on it. That 6 or 7 years that I was brewing at Korbel, not only from an awards standpoint, because we'd won an awful lot of awards, both at the Great American Beer Festival and the World Beer Cup, and so we did really well, but it also gave me the opportunity to just hone in on a style, which was India Pale Ale.
My name is Gary Heck. I'm president and owner of Korbel Champagne Cellars. Back in the mid to late 90s, the whole craft brew business was going crazy. Everybody was getting into it, and it seemed to be something that we wanted to dabble in. And so we were playing with it, and then we started looking around on how to do it. And a young man by the name of Vinnie came by, and he put our whole brewery together, and he started it. And later on, when we figured, this is really not our style, we just asked Vinnie if he'd like to take it over, and because we were going to shut it down because it was not something that we wanted to do anymore. Not because the beer wasn't excellent, because the beer was absolutely fabulous. Vinnie had won some tremendous accolades throughout the world for Russian River Brew. And so he decided that he wanted to take it on, and that's how it got started with Vinnie. And he and his wife Natalie have really made Russian River Brewery a wonderful, wonderful product.
By 2002, Korbel had decided to kind of refocus their business. In doing so, that meant they were going to shut down the brewery. Through the generosity of Gary, I was able to trade my severance package for the Russian River name itself, as well as a few brands that we were already making, and that included Pliny the Younger. That in and of itself was such a huge milestone of our arc of success and the story of Russian River Brewery. Something I always think about too with our connection to Korbel is that, it's rare that a big business helps a little guy, and that's exactly what happened here.
We decided to go out on our own. I decided to leave my career in wine after 19 years, and I kept my day job for about a year while Vinnie and our two business partners were under construction at our location in downtown Santa Rosa in 2003, 2004. We were able to entice about 30 investors to invest in our little startup brewery, brewpub in downtown Santa Rosa. They certainly helped out a lot with construction because I was working full-time, and we've decided I would keep my paycheck for as long as possible. Then about a couple weeks before we opened, I quit my job. Then we opened our little brew pub in downtown Santa Rosa on April 3rd, 2004 with 28 employees and $6,000 in the bank.
And all of our credit cards maxed out, so.
No stress.
After 4 years of the Santa Rosa Brewpub being open, we opened a production brewery in 2008 in South Santa Rosa. But we always knew that we had this kind of itch to build, what we now call our dream brewery. So by 2014, we had bought out the last of our investors, and that dream really started to make the wheels turn. We just started envisioning what this brewery would look like, lots of notes, lots of sketches, lots of pictures. Through that time, we kind of built a team of engineers and construction folk that could help us. All the while, we were looking for properties, and it just started all coming together, and all the things that we'd always wanted: a modern brew house that was, automated, room to expand, all these little things that would be really cool to put into a brewery, and we were able to do it, along with a world-class hospitality of a second restaurant as well. We swore we would never open a second restaurant.
Yeah.
Every entrepreneur has a list of things they say they'll never do, but we ended up doing it.
That was ours.
So, yeah.
Over the years, we've been listening to our customers and to our employees about all the things that we couldn't do in Santa Rosa, such as, can I take a tour? And do you only have pizza on your menu? And, we really took all that feedback to heart. And as we were designing the brewery, we really incorporated a lot of elements into the customer-facing part of the Windsor Brewery. We've really designed some spaces where people could just kind of spread out and do different things.
What Vinnie and Natalie have done with Rush River Brewery, it is unsurpassed by anybody else. They put the brew business, as far as I'm concerned, on the map in California, especially Northern California. Because Rush River Brewery, there's nothing like it, and everybody who has it, they absolutely love it. From what I see, it's gonna be here for a long, long time.
Certainly in the last 20 years, we've had a lot of challenges. There's the usual challenges of the day-to-day operations of running a business and staffing and things like that. But then we've had some natural disasters that have really impacted our community and all businesses in our community and others as well who have survived. Certainly the wildfires, I would say, have been the most substantial impact on us personally and professionally. In 2017, we had a series of fires, the Tubbs fire in particular, and we decided pretty quickly that we needed to do something regardless of our own financial situation. And so we had all these breweries reaching out to us, and we make a beer called Sonoma Pride. And we decided to repurpose Sonoma Pride and turn it into a fundraising beer. And so we had about 60 breweries from around the world sign a licensing agreement with us to brew their version of Sonoma Pride and donate the proceeds. So we had partnered with a local nonprofit. We raised over $1.1 million for fire victims. 100% of that money went directly to fire victims. Some of that money even purchased houses for seniors who lost their homes in Journey's End Mobile Home Park.
It's been pretty rewarding. It's unfortunate that we have to do this, but I think it also shows how giving the beer industry is.
During the kind of slower winter months, we were wanting to release a seasonal beer to drum up some business for our brew pub in downtown Santa Rosa, because it was painfully slow, as are most restaurants and bars during January and February. We came up with this idea that Vinnie would brew a triple IPA, so taking the Pliny the Younger recipe and expanding upon that. Nobody was brewing a triple IPA at the time, and it was really a slow burn. We made the beer every year and released it every February to no hoopla and fanfare for several years.
It did accomplish at the time what we set out to accomplish, which was to just brew a little bit more beer when it's really slow. And then in 2010, as I normally did, I went in first Friday of February, I put the beer on tap, kind of an internal celebration. Hey, Pliny the Younger. And I see people out in front of the pub. I went out and I said, hey, what are you guys doing? They said, oh, well, we're here for the release of Pliny the Younger. I said, you know, we don't open for 4 hours or whatever it was. And they said, oh, yeah, we know, but it's been ranked one of the top beers in the world. I remember the first thing I did was I called Natalie. It was about 7 in the morning, and I said, you better get down here sooner than you were going to. We're gonna be really busy today. And by the time we opened, there was a line down the block. And in the end of the day, we poured 20 barrels, which is 620 gallons of beer in an 8-hour period. Ran out of beer, but that began what the 2-week release is now.
Morning, everybody. Welcome to our 20th annual Pliny the Younger release. It's finally here.
I tell people, it's like, I won't stand in line for tennis shoes. I'm not going to stand in line for like a new phone or something like that, but I will stand in line, I'll sleep in line, I'll lay in line for a beer for Pliny the Younger.
Flew in yesterday from Columbus, Ohio.
And I flew in from Raleigh, North Carolina.
From Scotland. We're here for the developers conference, but we stayed an extra day to come out for the Pliny the Younger.
The Younger, it's hard to miss it, you know? It's like a holiday.
Pliny the Younger is probably one of the best beers in the world, I think.
Even back home, we've got a lot of choice now, but I think we still struggle to find anything that kind of stands up to it.
We're here at the 2024 Pliny the Younger release at our Windsor brewery. This is day 1 of 14. Hundreds of people waiting in line, long wait, but everyone's happy to be here. 20th year making the beer. It smells and tastes amazing. I love this year's batch. Probably my favorite batch we've ever made.
It's a really exciting time. I think we all really look forward to it. This year's release obviously is a little extra special because it is the 20th year. And right in the middle of our Pliny the Younger release is the Santa Rosa Pub's 20-year anniversary.
I still shake my head. I still can't believe it. One of my favorite things to do is those 2 weeks and walking the line every day. Multiple times we walk it. It's one of my favorite things to do. That's really fun to see people, meet them. Here, oh, this is my 12th time I've done this. You know, we've learned of people that have met in line, that then went on and got married and had kids, and There's endless stories there. That's pretty cool. Those make me smile. I personally chose beer first because I love it. I loved it as a home brewer. I knew it. I knew it right when I made that first batch of home brew. Like, this is what I'm gonna do. And then once you get into it, it's really infectious. It's an infectious job. It's a very curious job, in that you can always learn. Like, even after 30 years of making beer professionally, I'm still like have this itch to learn. And now we have a pilot brewery and that sort of thing that really drives that innovation. But for me, it is that simple. We never take anything for granted of what we have, and we always have a little bit of an entrepreneurial paranoia, I think is what we typically call it. And just that, we can never be good enough, and that we always need to make better beer. Our service always needs to be a little bit better. Our food can always improve. It's not to say we don't enjoy what we do, because we certainly do, but I think that drives us, and it also makes us never rest on our laurels.
I'm really proud of the quality of beers that we make. It still gets me excited, and maybe even still a little surprised that people would line up to drink our beer after all these years. And it's a huge honor, but it's also very humbling and a little bit terrifying, because I want to make sure that we're delivering on all fronts,
World-class.
World-class everything.
I think back to that first brewery at Blind Pig that was plastic fermenters and a brew kettle that was an old soup vessel from a military base. And I think back that to what we have now and all the hard work. That to me is definitely a bit of a pinch me moment when I walk through the brewery sometimes, especially on like a quiet day when nothing's going on, and I just shake my head sometimes. And then our team is definitely a big part of probably the things we're most proud of, and also know that they're our future as well. That we, you can't run a business at this level without a team. And we've assembled a really amazing team.
I think, the biggest award for us all is really that we've been doing this for 30 years, and certainly our little pub in Santa Rosa has been open for 20 years, and we see a lot of the same people. That people have been coming since day one, and people have been supporting us since we opened our doors with the absolute crappiest furniture that money could buy, and no decorations on the walls, no TVs, and we see a lot of the same people who were there from the beginning, including employees. We have several employees who are celebrating 19 or 20 years with us this year, and we're really, really proud of that.
Just like a happy 20th anniversary, like unironically cheers to hopefully 20 more. Just keep doing what you're doing. It's amazing.
Thanks for putting in all that blood, sweat, many hours, many stressful nights on putting out a quality product for all of us here in line to enjoy for the past 20 years.
Congratulations to you guys. I mean, you really put it together. I mean, nobody could do what you guys have done.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Natalie. Yeah,
thank you.
Russian River Beer for so many years of great beer.